목사 부부의 아들인 윤모군
본회의 통과시킨 건 나야.
뭐라도 좀 대책을 좀 내려보세요.
Suksu's childhood could easily win the award for most miserable upbringing. While other kids were running around with toys and snacks, he was constantly reminded that his stuttering was some sort of personal crime. His father, Kwan Kangmin, never missed a chance to scold him, while his mother shrugged it off. After all, she already had another younger son to focus on. Poor Suksu became the family's unwanted accessory, treated so badly it was as if he had fewer rights than the family dog. Food and water, rationed like wartime supplies.
또.
One night, dying of thirst, Suksu dared to sneak into the kitchen. His father caught him red-handed, and instead of sympathy, he was beaten. The cruel man told him the kitchen was off limits and shoved him outside to eat in the doghouse, demanding that he bark like a dog. Imagine being forced to trade in your human identity for kibble-level treatment. Meanwhile, Kwan Kangmon had other business to handle. He proudly called Sehi, boasting that the amendment bill she wanted had passed. He thought he deserved applause, maybe even a medal. But Sehi wasn't impressed. For her, this was merely step one in the grand scheme of child trafficking. Why celebrate when there was still so much corruption to organize?
만족하십니까?
But the headlines were already ablaze. News of Pastor Sehun's murder was everywhere, and according to police reports, the killer was his own son, helped by several young people. Among those suspects was none other than Kangman's supposedly dead son. Kangman's wife almost fainted when she saw the news.
목사 부부의 아들인 윤모군
She immediately called her husband, demanding answers. Was their son actually alive? Kangman was left scratching his head, torn between shock and confusion. He turned to Sehi, furious. Why was the police chasing someone the world believed to be dead? Had she lied to him all this time? He had bent over backward to pass her law, and this was the thanks he got? Sehi, not one to handle insults lightly, snapped back and warned him. Bring the boy back to life, or else. The surviving young people were fuming when they saw the news. Being named suspects in a brutal murder was not part of their plan.
본회의 통과시킨 건 나야.
Detective Choi, however, wasn't convinced. He believed that if these kids wanted revenge, they would have carried it out more cleanly, not in such a chaotic way. Unfortunately, his instincts no longer mattered because the special crime team swooped in and took over the case. Choi was sidelined. Detective Choi, not ready to give up, called Ah-hyun. No answer. So he sent a message, telling her he believed they weren't the killers and that he wanted to help. Suksu thought this could be their chance. If Choi truly wanted to help, they could finally present themselves as victims instead of criminals, saving their siblings from further danger.
우리가 직접 해야 하는 걸까?
That night, Ah-hyun went to the train station alone. She left a package for Choi, who later picked it up. Inside was a treasure trove, data about the surviving children and an audio recording of Kangman himself ordering the disposal of his son. Ah-hyun added a blunt message. If Choi really wanted to help, then he should start acting like a real police officer.
우리를 돕고 싶다면
In the middle of the night, a limping man spotted a wanted poster of the young survivors plastered on a wall. Meanwhile, in Sehi's underworld basement, VIP clients were growing restless. They had paid big money to get rid of disabled children, and now rumors swirled that those same discarded kids were alive and well, and possibly involved in murder. They felt duped, scammed by the very people they trusted. Even though they'd been shown footage of the so-called disposal process, suspicion lingered like a bad smell.
뭐라도 좀 대책을 좀 내려보세요.
Enter Sehi, stage left, calm as ever. She reassured the VIPs with a dazzling smile and a cold promise. If any of those discarded children popped up again, she'd personally compensate them with 10 billion won. That kind of money was enough to silence their doubts, for now.
100억씩 드릴게.
Back in the daylight, Detective Choi confronted Kwan Kangman face to face. He played the damning recording of Kangman ordering his own son's disposal. Kangman waved it off, scoffing that the voice was probably faked using AI technology. Nice try, detective, but his son was dead. End of story. Boldly, he challenged Choi, if he's alive, bring him to me. Choi said nothing, simply asked to leave. The media circus soon followed. Reporters swarmed Kangman's office, demanding to know if his son was really dead. With his wife by his side, Kangman delivered an Oscar-worthy performance. He knelt before the cameras, wept bitter tears, and begged the press to stop tormenting his family. He called himself an inadequate father, cried for his dead son, and apologized for everything. Choi stood off to the side, unimpressed, watching the performance unfold. Kangman might have fooled the public, but Choi saw right through the act. Privately, Kangman decided he'd had enough. If those kids were alive, then they needed to be eliminated. For good this time.
다 없애자.
Sehi, watching Kangman's crocodile tears on the screen, knew exactly what he was planning. She called Jung Hyun, ordering him to provide backup for Kangman's mission. Inside the police station, Choi left his desk briefly. Big mistake. One of his colleagues opened the confidential file on the surviving kids, snapped photos, and forwarded them straight to Jung Hyun.
나가봐.
Meanwhile, Sehi's medical team was busy preparing for an embryo transfer, waiting for Sehi's daughter. The girl, quiet but perceptive, asked Jung Hyun what would happen to her once she gave birth. Would she just be discarded like the others? Jung Hyun offered no answer, simply escorting her to the car, her face etched with disappointment.
그 다음에 나는 어떻게 될까?
Elsewhere, Kangman met with hired thugs, not to search, but to kill. He promised them a 200 million won bonus if they could wipe out his son.
죽여도 주시나?
At that very moment, Ah-hyun slipped away, leaving Suksu in charge of the younger kids. But someone was watching, and the thugs quickly learned the hideout's location. As Kangman's thugs rushed in, Choi followed their trail. Meanwhile, Ah-hyun intercepted Sehi's daughter's car, thanks to a desperate message from the girl begging for help. Grateful, the daughter clung to Ah-hyun, though both were terrified of what awaited them. Then came a chilling message from Choi. The thugs knew where the hideout was. Ah-hyun immediately called Suksu, urging him to get everyone out. Back with Sehi, news arrived that her daughter had been kidnapped. Madam called, asking about the girl's condition. Sehi lied smoothly, assuring her everything was fine. Privately, she suspected this wasn't a kidnapping at all. And if her men couldn't bring the girl back, then killing her would be the next best option. As Choi raced toward the hideout, Jung Hyun ambushed him, bombing his car and leaving him stranded. Kangman and his thugs arrived before the kids could escape. The fight was brutal. The children tried, but they were outnumbered. Suksu was beaten with a baseball bat, yet still managed to stand when Kangman entered. For a moment, the father in Kangman flickered through. He ordered Suksu to bark, just like old times. To protect his siblings, Suksu obeyed, humiliation burning in his chest. He screamed and begged, offering to die if his father spared the others. Kangman, in a twisted gesture, handed him a knife, an invitation to end his own life. But Suksu had one last surprise. Instead of surrendering, he turned the knife on Kangman, threatening to kill him if the siblings weren't released. The thugs, spooked, let the kids go. Just as Suksu was about to strike, Jung Hyun appeared and shot him. Then, without hesitation, he shot Kangman in the head. The thugs scattered in terror. Ah-hyun and Sehi's daughter arrived too late. They found Suksu dying but smiling, happy to have protected his family at last. The children wept as he breathed his final breath. Jung Hyun's men poured gasoline through the building, setting it ablaze. Though he noticed Sehi's daughter among the survivors, Jung Hyun stayed silent. The flames consumed the hideout, echoing with the children's cries and the memory of Suksu's sacrifice.